Hello, my name is Griffin Parker with Parker Monuments in Knightdale, North Carolina, and in this video we're going to talk about the top 5 mistakes people make when purchasing a headstone. So if that interests you, stay tuned. So number 1, not being familiar with the cemetery regulations that the stone will be placed in. Now if you're working with us and most monument companies, the monument company is going to help you navigate these cemetery regulations. So that's something to keep in mind. However, if you're ordering a headstone online, sometimes you're going to be responsible for knowing this, so this can be achieved by calling or emailing the cemetery. It's always a good rule of thumb to get these regulations in writing from the cemetery and making sure that the stone that you order is going to comply. Number 2, using concrete or brick, especially above ground where it's going to be seen. Concrete does not last nearly as long as granite and marble and other natural materials. Concrete is more porous. It's going to be more likely to get water into it. The water freezes in the wintertime and makes little hairline cracks that just gradually get worse over time. Brick usually holds up decent, but it's that mortar joint, which is essentially concrete, that's holding it all together. It just falls apart. You see a lot of at least in our area, you see a lot of brick mausoleums, and after about 60 years they start looking rough, especially if they have the concrete tops to them, which like a lot of them do. So I would steer people clear of using brick or concrete above ground. Now, to be clear, we do use concrete as our foundation, so everything underground is concrete when we're doing our foundations for our headstones. Aprons, though, are an exception. So traditionally, an apron is going to be that 3 or 4 inch border around the base that's flat to the ground that kind of keeps the grass away from the stone. However, we prefer to use granite in that application for the same reason. Any visible concrete is going to degrade over a few decades and then it's going to look bad. We want to avoid that. We'd like to use granite for everything that's going to be seen. Granite, marble, bronze, for anything that's going to be seen. Number 3, being in a hurry. People like to get in a hurry. We understand it's emotional. You want to get it done. It's not a happy process picking out a headstone. However, you are getting something that's going to be permanent, that you're getting lettering that's going to be engraved into stone. This can be in the form of porcelain pictures that are going to be attached to the stone with epoxy. This could be in the form of carvings, which are sandblasted, and it can also be in the form of etchings, which are done with a laser. In all of these scenarios, there's proof process. There are artists that tweak things, make sure everything looks right. It's important in our eyes that when we are doing a headstone and a customer sends us a picture that they want on the stone, we're going to take that extra time to make sure that nothing's blurry, everything's going to contrast correctly. We just recently got a stone shipped to us from a customer that's out of state, bought one online, had it shipped to us to do the install, and then they had a 3-week turnaround time, which is super quick, right, for a headstone. And the customer's not happy with the engraving work. So this is something that you run into when you get in a hurry, when you skip some of these approval processes and tweaks and things. These are things that can happen, basically. These companies that pump out a stone in 3 weeks, they're not going to tweak anything. If you give them a bad picture, they're going to put it on the stone, and that's what you got. So try to avoid that. Take your time, make sure it's right. Make sure in 20 years you're still going to be happy with the stone. That's what we try to tell our customers. Not using a quality-focused retailer. A lot of what I just explained applies to this one. However, when it comes to the installation, so the foundations are an important part of being happy with the stone in 20 years. Essentially, you don't want that stone to fall towards the soft dirt on the grave dirt. That will happen if the proper measures are not taken. So what we do, we put plenty of foundation under these stones. They haven't settled. We have a full warranty on our foundations, lifetime warranty. If the stone settles, we go out there and fix it. However, we haven't had to do that because we do our foundations correctly. A lot of monument dealers do not do their foundations correctly. We have reset a lot of stones for customers that we didn't do, and we pick them up and there's like 2 shovelfuls of concrete on each corner of the stone. It's not enough. So something to keep in mind. The installation job matters on how that stone's going to look decades down the road. Number 5, too thin material. You can easily go on Amazon or eBay and find little countertop thick pieces of granite where they'll etch an engraving for you, and they're really cheap. I mean, really economical. However, you put those out in the cemetery and a piece of equipment drives on it, it's going to split it in two. So as a rule of thumb, 4 inches is what I recommend for thickness of a ground marker that's going to be flat with the ground. 3 inches you can get by in a pinch, but I really prefer that 4 inch. You're not going to see much of a price difference between the two anyway. So using soft material as well, so sandstone, limestone, these are all softer materials. If you do use something like that, which most people aren't going to want to, but there are some rare occasions where somebody might want to be different or something, just make sure it's thick. The thinner it is, the more brittle it is. If it's already a soft material, you want to give it the best chance possible of holding up over time. So that concludes our video. If you have any questions, comment down below. You can find us at parkermonuments.com, and you can email us at parkermonuments@gmail.com. Thank you and have a blessed day.